Good morning, everyone. Mr. Tringale here again. Yesterday we talked about the three G's of exploration and push-pull factors. Today I thought we'd move on in history and we start talking about the two first successful colonies, Jamestown and Plymouth. I do say successful because there was a colony before them. Remember, we talked about that colony of Roanoke where everyone disappeared and no one really happened. But the first two successful colonies were Jamestown and Plymouth. Remember, Jamestown, we'll start with that because that was the first one. Jamestown was founded in 1607 by the Virginia Company, which is a joint stock company, meaning people invested in the people to travel across the sea, and then whatever profits that colony gains, that company back in England would gain money. That's what a joint stock company pretty much is. Essentially, when Jamestown got over there in 1607, their goal was to find gold. However, they landed in Virginia. There's no gold in Virginia, and they actually had a very hard time starting out there. Most of the colonists that traveled to Jamestown were very lazy. They did not like to work. They did not want to build a fort. They did not want to learn how to grow crops. And they tried to rely on the Native Americans to help them with all these things, but the Native Americans weren't very helpful. Therefore, they didn't have a really good relationship with the Native Americans at all. On top of that, there was really no law there. The law that was followed was from King James back in England. So having someone thousands of miles away be in charge of you really didn't help the people out at all. So life at the beginning of Jamestown really wasn't that great until we had two leaders, both named John. John Smith was the leader of the colony. He was a very good leader. He made sure the people worked. He instituted a no work, no eat policy, and really it got the colony off the ground. However, it wasn't until another John named John Rolfe came that the colony started to be successful. Remember, they were there to find gold, which they couldn't find, and they weren't making any money. But John Rolfe brought tobacco seeds over, and he started to plant tobacco. As he started to grow tobacco, it started to flourish in the warm, humid climates of Virginia, and tobacco grew and grew and grew all throughout the state of Virginia, helping Jamestown become the successful colony it was. One other good thing about Jamestown and the colony of Virginia is they created the first representative assembly, which was called the Virginia House of Burgesses. This is when different members of different communities would meet together, and that's how they ran the colony of Virginia. So that's the first time that really ever happened in the New World or the United States. Now, if you're bored over this extended break and you have Disney Plus or maybe other forms of streaming, or you have the DVD, you can watch the movie Pocahontas. This is not 100% accurate, but they do touch on certain aspects of Jamestown, like how they were trying to find gold and what their fort even looked like. So you can go ahead and watch that. Please don't think it's a real thing. There are real characters like John Smith and Pocahontas, but a lot of the stuff is also fake. So don't think everything is completely real. The other colony came about 13 years later in 1620, and that was Plymouth. Plymouth was a colony that a bunch of people left England because they were getting persecuted for their religious beliefs in England. So they left England looking for religious freedom. These people are called Pilgrims. So they traveled over in 1620 and they started the colony of Plymouth, which is north of Jamestown in Massachusetts. Now, the real cool thing about Plymouth is before they even got off their ship, which is called the Mayflower, they created this thing called the Mayflower Compact, which essentially was a contract that these people were going to follow once they stepped off the ship. This is essentially the first constitution in the United States, a set of rules created by the people in order to follow them, and it really separated themselves from the King of England. This also was not the best time for them to land, though. They landed right before winter in Massachusetts. If you know anything about geography and climate, Massachusetts during the wintertime is very cold. Many pilgrims died during that first winter as they took time to set up their camps and their villages. Once they got through that winter, though, they did kind of have the opposite relationship with Native Americans that Jamestown did not have. All right, they had a good relationship with Native Americans. The Native Americans treated them well, taught them how to grow corn, and how to hunt and do other things. Oftentimes, people associate Pilgrims and Native Americans with the first Thanksgiving. It's the first time these two people sat down and had a feast together, and they were happy and they worked well together. Quick recap, we talked about Jamestown, founded in 1607 by the Virginia Company. They were looking to find gold, didn't find gold, and actually had a pretty hard life for quite a bit. John Smith led them through that hard times, and then John Rolfe planted tobacco and helped Jamestown become a successful colony. They even created the first representative assembly, which was the Virginia House of Burgesses. 13 years later, the Pilgrims came over from England looking for religious freedom since they were being persecuted back home. Before they get off their ship, they create the first U.S. Constitution, which we call the Mayflower Compact, a set of rules created by the people for the people to follow. They arrived right before winter, so life wasn't that great, as it took some time to set up their camps and many of them died. However, they did grow a great relationship with the Native Americans, which helped them become more successful. So that's it for today. Tomorrow, we're going to have a pretty heavy content kind of thing because we're going to talk about the causes of the American Revolution, which is a lot of work. But I hope you guys are still staying safe. I know the weather hasn't been the best lately, but if you can get outside and do a little bit of exercises, maybe walking or anything like that, it's going to be really great for your mental health. Hope you all have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye.